Imari's in LA now. He's been taking over Los Angeles. Even it being Imari Anderson, we can call it Los Anderson. So what we want to do, as far as kicking off, we want to be real professional. So please introduce yourself. Let us know about what you do, who you are, briefly.
Oh yeah, let's run through this real quick and get to the good stuff. So my name is Imari. I'm a life coach. I travel speaking around the world, giving workshops, helping people to discover themselves, find fulfillment with themselves, and use that information to create the life that they want. So I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I do group coaching, and like I said, I do a lot of speaking, stuff like this kind of stuff. I used to be a filmmaker. Most people who know me from South Carolina probably know me as a director. That went on for like 8-9 years, and I'm sure that'll get brought up in our conversation today. But it led me down a path of success, but not a path of fulfillment. And that was not going to work. So we had to switch that up. And the resulting events that came after that is what brought me here today. That transformation.
Out the gate, man. This isn't even one of my questions, but you know the idea of a path of success versus a path of fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Can you tell me how can you be successful but not be fulfilled?
If you're living your life for anybody except for yourself, right? If your words, your thoughts, your actions, your beliefs, your profession, the way you dress, if anything is dictated by somebody other than yourself, success, I think the way people utilize success right now is they want to show how successful they are, right? It's like, look, I say the right things, I do the right thing. Look at this bank account, look at this car. So it's all for the performance. It's all for the experience of somebody else, right? Which is what I was doing. Like when I was doing my videos, I was like, y'all, I know y'all see the views on these videos. I know y'all see how many people are sharing these videos, right? And it's like, cool. Everybody's like, wow, Mari's this director and he's got hundreds of millions of views. Nobody saw how depressed I was, insecure, anxious, stressed out, hoping that the next video was going to do as well, right? So that's for me a very obvious example of the difference between success and fulfillment. Is I hit the thing that I thought I was aiming for, and I still felt like shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not from a positive standpoint, but just from an understanding standpoint, because I think we've all, especially myself, I've been in the situation where, on the outside, it feels all good. One thing, even when I started a.bevy, like the term introspective, mindfulness, self-awareness, it really hit home because it denoted like a journey, not from that inner to the outer to where I got to show and prove to the world, to the people around me and the things around me, but it flipped it to say all these things happen around me can tell me about myself, can teach me who I am. And
Exactly.
And that's what we did. So before I kick these questions off, when we talk about again that mindfulness and self-awareness, we also talk about authenticity, which is something you stand strongly on. So define authenticity in the scope of where we are now for everyone listening. Why should you want to be? What does that mean?
You will not achieve fulfillment without authenticity. That's just a fact. Like, I live in Los Angeles, as you know, right? And I know the people here who are living a certain lifestyle that maybe not even for them, but it's a lifestyle that they've been told is impressive, right? So they're living that, and they're hoping that everybody else can see it. So in essence, they are in an inauthentic place, right? So cool, they have success, but they don't have any of this fulfillment that we talk about. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
I think. Go ahead.
You go ahead. I'm just agreeing with you as far as what you got. You know what I mean? Because that's an unauthentic fly that flies by you. But all you can do is wipe that unauthenticity, unauthentic trait, unauthenticality, whatever we want. We can look at the word authenticity and frame it to where we can put on the mirror and apply it to ourselves. But when I talk about a mirror, the main thing is being able to take what you've been through and dissect, what it means about you. And as far as being the final speaker for today's Passion Expo, I have a few personal questions, if I may.
More personal, the better, man. Throw them at me.
That I would like to ask. Also, if you have personal questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll be able to get to those at the end. But the first question I have, right, talking about authenticity. Authenticity is key. Self-awareness is key. However, I personally continuously struggle on that journey myself at 30 years old. At times, I'm confident. I'm the most confident ever, even being in front of this camera now. But other times, I actually have little confidence, especially in knowing what I should do next, right? Sometimes I even get stuck on even knowing in general what's next in my life. Even though I believe I'm confident and I'm doing well, what does that mean about me?
What a beautiful question. So, as you remember, we talked about a couple weeks ago, is what is this? What is the difference between self-worth and confidence, right? And for me, as I've like gone down this path and discovering and talking to different people, is that a lot of confidence comes from the awareness of what I can do, right? What is the thing that I'm capable of doing? I am confident that I can lift this weight. I've done it before. I know how big my muscles are, et cetera, right? What's more interesting for me, what's more of a foundational conversation is this idea of self-worth, right? Because if self-confidence is what you can do, knowing what you are capable of doing, self-worth is I know who I am, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting is if you have self-worth, if you are clear on who you are, and there's no befuddlement, there's no muddiness in that, there's no projections of what other people want you to be, you just are self-aware of this is who I am, and I embrace this, and I love this, and I accept this, then I would say it really doesn't matter what you do next, right? So these questions of like, oh man, am I gonna be this director? Am I gonna go here? Bro, it's all good. At the end of the day, once your self-worth is intact, the rest of it becomes a game, right? And when people try to get the self-confidence part first and they try to do the things first, then they end up defining themselves by what they do, right? And if you define yourself by what you do, you always gonna be screwed over, right? If you define yourself by, oh, I got this new position as a lawyer at this big firm. Okay, cool. What happens when Corona hits and you're no longer going to work? Does that mean now your self-worth is toppled? You see what I'm saying? Does that resonate?
All you drop was bars, man. You should sign a TDE. But I think in you saying like the couple times I smile comes from like you being able to encompass it, you know, bottle it together, package it to things I already know, but I still struggle with. And I'm able. I got two more questions for you, and I hope everyone in the chat is able to acknowledge some things in their lives that they're struggling with. Because again, whatever we're struggling with, we can learn. We can learn from. We can learn about who we are and what we actually should be doing next. And as far as self-worth thing, that's a quote. I don't know if you can copyright it or whatever, but that's very important. Because self-awareness is something we teach, but at the end of the day, the basis of that has to be that value in yourself. So my second question, right, is I struggle, even when we talk about self-worth, I struggle and live with anxiety, right? The idea of like, you know, just tapping on me, something's on my shoulders. You know, every day, all day, I feel like I should be doing something. I should be doing more. I should be doing better. It could be 1 a.m., 4 a.m., 2 p.m. It could be after I just left a party. It could be after I just had the best day of my life. All the time, I feel like I should be more. What does that mean about me?
I think this is really tied into the first question we talked about. So my question back to you, my friend, is if you didn't do anything, if you didn't go and build a.bevy, if you didn't blah, 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 do the next big thing, host the next DJ session, like whatever, what do you think that would then make you believe about yourself? Is it, oh, now I'm a piece of shit? Or now I'm lazy? Now I'm not living up to my potential?
I want to make like excuses and say like it depends on the day. It depends on what I did yesterday and all of that. But I literally think every day is going to be, okay, I have to take some strides. So if I go a day and don't take any strides, then I'm going to think I'm not, from a positive standpoint, I'm going to think I'm not utilizing my life and my opportunities to the best of my ability.
Can I jump into that? Because I think there's some juiciness right there. So what's really interesting is you just said, I have to take some strides, right? And for me as a coach and understanding the power of the mind, I think there's a massive power when we look at how we're using language, right? So when you say, I have to go do something, it becomes an obligation. It becomes, who am I if I don't do this thing? My self-worth is shattered, right? So for me, I think what's more useful, instead of saying, I have to work today, I'm blessed to, I have the opportunity to, I get to, right? Because when you approach it like that, it's no longer this you're coming at it from a sense of lack, right? Like, I need to do this thing in order to have worth in myself. It's like, bro, you're Bryant Kirk White. You started at a.bevy. You already transformed thousands of lives. You're good. You can chill for the rest of your life if you want to. But because of who you are, you're passionate about changes in people's lives. So now you have the opportunity to continue doing it. You don't have to do shit, man. You have the opportunity to. You get to. You are blessed to. Whatever you want to believe in, the universe, God, Allah has said, hey, man, since we're all good, we know Be White, here's some games you can play. You want to do a Passion Expo? Let's do a Passion Expo. You don't have to do anything, brother. And when you approach life from a have to mindset, I promise you, everything is going to feel like anxiety, because there will always be another, I have to do this. Oh, I did it. Now I have to do the next thing. And I promise that's a never ending tunnel that you're going to keep falling down.
I feel that, man. I forgot that I forgot that I was kind of moderating now, because kind of like it's like because like you just hit me back to back, and so let me think of my follow up real quick. As far
and I want to acknowledge you, man, because you just came into this chat with like, this is what I'm dealing with, right? So everybody who's watching the chat, like, of course people are going to resonate with you. I promise you're not the only person in the world dealing with anxiety, right? But I acknowledge you for being vulnerable, being like, this ain't no talk show. It's a real life coaching session right now. You know what I mean? It's like two people conversating. So I acknowledge you for opening yourself up to me and to everybody who's watching.
I appreciate that. Acknowledgement is key in a lot of our lives. One thing I've learned, even in my relationship, in my marriage, shout out to my marriage, like words of affirmation, they're very important. Even as far as the life I've based, they've been very important. So this last question, I would like to kind of corner it on the idea of what we just spoke on, but as far as the flip and going back outward, taking everything I've learned from the outside and then learn about myself inward, and then my outward actions, which brings me to where I am today. So a.bevy has been my seed, my baby for 10 plus years. Thousands of collegiate members.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Some affirmation. It hit different. I'm telling you. Y'all tell somebody in the chat how I gotta start my question over there. I'll tell somebody in the chat how amazing.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. Words of affirmation are key, man. They're definitely key. So my question: a.bevy has been my baby, my seed for 10 plus years. I don't even think I've celebrated the 10 years. It's just more like I got to do some more work, right? Right. But for 10 years, it's been my baby. Thousands of collegiate members, right? Thousands of dollars given in scholarships, successful events, movements, even an opportunity to be here today. Yet it wasn't until last year that we got our first grant, which was a $10,000 grant for us to then do an event that we had already been doing. And I was 100% grateful. I was happy that I was approached by it, but I was also questioning myself because I didn't go find it. Someone had to approach me for that to be our first grant, for going into the 10 years for that to be the first grant. All right. So with that, I realized I'm scared to take the leap for a.bevy to be fully funded, for me to be able to drop all the things I'm doing and take this 10 years of evidence and move into the world and continue to serve our mission. With that comes the idea that I'm afraid of denial. Even though I've done the work, I'm afraid of denial. What does that mean about me?
Similar to my answer to the second question. And I think this is where like a lot of transformation work comes in, at least for me, where the transformation work has come into my life, is the things that I'm afraid of, things that I'm resisting, with honest transparency, looking at myself. What am I afraid that it's going to mean if I fail? Does that make sense? So how will I interpret it? How am I afraid that I will interpret it that is preventing me from doing it? So my question to you is like, do you believe that if you just gave everything else up and you focused on your baby, your seed, like you talked about, and you go out and you hit up some guy who's rich and you're like, hey man, I have a.bevy and it's amazing and it's changing people's lives, and he's like, I'm good. Are you afraid of how you are going to interpret that and create a dialogue out of that? Because if you are, I completely get it. right? But my friend, like, what if, and I think this could apply for everybody, is what if your self-worth, what if the worth of the things that you're creating is not dictated by somebody's yes or no? What if that is just another human being on this planet who has their own opinions and own perspectives and own experiences, right? And you can go from no to no to no with a big ass smile on your face because you're like, bro, this is not a reflection of me and it's not a reflection of a.bevy. That's when we talk about self-worth.
Absolutely.
When you have self-worth, that shit is untouchable. I promise. It's not dictated by what happens or what doesn't get to happen, right? Because based on that logic, then you're saying, oh, cool. Now when somebody gives me $1 million grant, now I'm gonna feel really happy. Now it's dictated by this. The bigger the thing that I get is, right? And it's like, cool. If you continue to dictate your life by the size of the things that you're given, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your self-worth will always be subjective. Your self-worth will never be constant, right? Like for me, when I was a filmmaker, cool. I had a video that hit 1 million views, right? And then next week I had another video come out that shit hit 3 million views. I was like, all right, cool. I don't care about the 1 million. Now I gotta care about the 3 million. But oh man, why am I not hitting 5 million? It's just a constant when you're attaching who you are to other people's responses to the things that you create. You will never be satisfied. You will never find fulfillment. You're pouring water in a bucket that doesn't have a bottom.
You're forever chasing, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel that, man. I feel that. The a.bevy brand, or even Passion Expo in general, we talk about express, expound and expand. Just the idea of vulnerably talking about who you are, and I think that's what we did today. That's what we wanted to do with this segment. And so, what we challenge everyone to do now as we wrap up is to, whether you do it in a large group, you find somebody one on one, you can find me, you can find Imari, you can find anybody, whether it be in the group, Instagram, you can text a friend, whatever you do. Never be afraid to be vulnerable. Never be afraid to tap into the things that you feel like you lack, that you feel like you don't have a lot of hope within, or things that you doubt. Don't be afraid of the changes that are coming at your life that you don't even know how to progress and grow from. You may feel like you're regressing, but what you can do is talk about these changes with people, talk about these changes with one person, or just look yourself, directly in the mirror and talk about that change and say, what does it mean about who I can be? And this segment in general was about that. Now, he helped me. Now I challenge you to go find help for yourself. Amari represents How the Human, so if you want to check him out, hit him up. But in the last question, I want to, well, not even a question. I want to give you the floor for any tips or advice you want to give our crowd as we aim to close our first ever Passion Expo.
So honored to close it out. Yeah, you know me, I don't come with an agenda. I just have thoughts on my mind, and as you're speaking, a thought comes to my mind. We talk about this idea of vulnerability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in my own transformation, I've realized that it is a quintessential ingredient to the recipe. Without that, you don't make bread, right? Like you can't create nothing without the vulnerability. And it makes me think of like a metaphor, an illustration, which is like a potted plant. It's like a seed in the soil of a potted plant.
Okay.
But on top of the potted plant, somebody's put like a brick, and they're like watering the brick, being like, "Man, why is my seed not growing? Why am I not growing? Why am I not changing?" Bro, take the damn brick off, take your walls off, open yourself up. You're gonna be fine, I promise. Right? Like all the transformation workshops and everything that I've done, it only works the more you open up.
Yeah.
Right? And people are afraid. It's like, oh man, am I gonna look weak? Am I gonna look vulnerable? Bro, you're fine. You're just another human being, and we can all stop pretending like we're anything other than human beings, right? And as soon as we acknowledge that, we can start moving forward. The more I open up, the more I grow. The more you open up, the more you grow. And you can bring yourself to all the coaches and therapists in the world. It's like you go to a therapy appointment and you're like, wow, this is gonna change my life, but I'm not gonna say a word. I'm gonna sit here with my arms crossed.
Yeah.
All right, watch how much growth happens. Right? So I like that you bring up the concept of vulnerability, man, because in vulnerability, other people can connect with you, and in vulnerability, you can connect with yourself.
Absolutely. So that's our time.
Yeah.
Only the authentic will survive. Only the confident will survive. Only the mindful will survive. Only the self-aware will survive. only the vulnerable will survive. So I appreciate you, Mr. Imari Anderson. Y'all make sure y'all check him out, follow him, dive into his services, and make sure you continue to go forward and be the person you deserve to be. So peace, my brother. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man. I love you. Thank you so much, brother. So good to do this.
Love you too, boss.